Recording is now start. So Assistant Professor Kornwipa will share with us her knowledge on online English language tasting as a solution during this pandemic time. So I hope you guys enjoyed her talk this morning, and thank you again for spending your valuable Saturday morning time with us. Now I'm passing the screen to Dr. Kornwipa.
So are we starting now?
Yes.
Yes.
If you're ready, yes. Feel free to start.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining my talk today. I'm a little bit excited.
Me too. We are excited to hear about the language tasting online during this pandemic time.
Okay, so yeah.
Feel free to talk. Sorry.
So the title of my talk today is about KKU-AELT from home, online English language testing as a solution amid the COVID-19 pandemic. I need to let you know, first of all, that this project was not supposed to be research project, because it's kind of a reaction of the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of language testing, right? But then when I have been doing this for a year and a half right now, I kind of realized that, I'm doing a small research on, developing this kind of system to for language testing at my university. So I would like to share what I have done, what I have done wrong and what I have done right. Okay, let's see. All right, let's start with today's agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit more about computer technology in language assessment. Okay, even though I'm a language assessment person, this is probably the first time that I have really, study deep into the computer technology in language assessment, and this is the first project that I have dealt with language assessment and technology. So we need to, know the concept of computer technology in language assessment first. And then even though we kind of transfer the paper-based test into computer-based test, we still have to consider test qualities. We need to consider test qualities because we have to guarantee that the scores of the test takers will be useful for score users. Okay, and then computer-assisted language testing and test qualities. Of course, how are they related? What factors or what considerations should we take, in order to design computer-based testing or computer-assisted language testing? And then I will talk about my KKU-AELT from home project and lessons learned from this project. And then we can have a Q&A session. And you can share your experience about using computer or technology in language assessment. I saw many of you from different universities. I think you probably have facing the same problems during the COVID-19. So we can share about using computer in language assessment. Okay, do you still remember this kind of feeling when you are in the exam room? We are in the COVID-19 situation, right? So we kind of didn't really see this picture for quite a while, right? When you were in the classroom, you proctoring your students, even in a small class, either in a small class or in a bigger class like this. to me, I kind of feel relaxed, in the exam room, because I kind of feel like, oh, this is the end of the semester. We finished teaching, and then we're giving them the exam. Like 3 hours of happiness and tranquility. Kind of relaxed. But at the end of the exam, I just realized that, oh, come on, it's the end of the exam. I have to spend like 2 weeks to mark the exam, right? So then, wow, but what a life, like a life of teacher at my age, at least. So kind of happy to be a teacher proctoring the exam and marking, happily and sadly have the same, the feeling, a mix of feeling at the same time. So when the COVID came to Thailand, the first wave, you still remember, we kind of moved our classroom teaching, right, online to the online teaching. And then even though we have some kind of online teaching, we still have some hybrid, like sometimes we make an appointment with the students to meet at the on campus, and then sometimes we met them online. And usually at the end of the unit or midterm or final, we would like them to sit in a classroom like this and then give them the exam, right? So that's last year. I still remember many of my colleagues have done that. It's kind of a little bit of not confident in giving the exam online, right? So that's why we kind of met the student on site, gave them the paper-based test, so that's because the pandemic kind of forced us to do so. But what about in the past? Well, in the past, paper-based test is good in terms of giving them to a big number of the test takers, like on the left-hand side here. You don't have to mark that much. You can use computer to help you. So online test started in the US probably in 1930, if I remember it right, to give exam to a huge number of students in the US, and then they use computer to mark the exam, right? And since that time, the US scholars, researchers try to put paper-based tests into computer-based tests, right? And it's not new, actually. Computer-based tests not new, right? Because people would like to change from, tons of work like this, a big pile of papers, into more manageable behavior of the test takers, of the test developers or the markers, okay? Because, kind of, you're kind of sick of marking, so that's kind of stuff. So they would like to change or transfer paper-based tests into computer-based testing. And since it's not a number of researchers, oops, I'm sorry. A number of researchers have pro computer-based tests, but a large number of researchers, or especially teachers, are not familiar with using computer-based testing. So they I'm sorry, what's wrong with this? Okay, so if you look at the differences between paper-based tests on your on the left-hand side and the computer-based test on the right-hand side, there's something different between these two. For the paper-based test, we can use items, like single use of items. When you use it, we kind of throw the test away. We do not really reuse it because you have to type, right? So, and then the exposure of a large amount of students, maybe you cannot reuse it. That's what the paper said. And it is a kind of limited item variation. So usually you give it to many people. So multiple choice would be the best choice for a test developer to write, right? Because it's easy to mark. And it is administered in a fixed period of time, like 3 hours in the midterm exam, final exam, those kind of stuff, right? It's quite a long and expensive item production. When you write the test item, you probably take like hours or weeks to produce test item, and it's expensive if you kind of hire people to write the test items and put it in the computer. I mean, type in. Remember before we have computer, we have typewriter, right? So that's why people think, oh, paper-based tests take long time and expensive because you have to type in the typewriter, not the computer at that time. And what about security? Well, the physical security, you have to be there, right? You have to be at the test room. Teachers or proctors have to be at the test room. You need to use a lot of people, and it costs a lot of money. Like maybe if you ship the papers to other provinces or other states or other countries, and then ship it back to the headquarters for marking, those kind of stuff, right? So people said it's kind of expensive in terms of having the security, also the store of the test items as well. Long-term scoring process, that means, the time of shipping back and forth or administer, like distributing the score sections of different sections of the test to markers, especially if you have human markers or human raters, it's going to take a long time. And for cheating, this is a big issue. It's very easy and frequently cheating behavior happened in the paper-based test. Okay. What about computer-based? People say, well, like people who are kind of promote computer-based, they would say something good for computer-based, like multiple use items. You can use item so many times because it's in there in the computer system, right? So you can reuse it. You can generate the test and then reuse it anytime. Unlimited item variation. You can, in the computer system, sorry. You can use more than multiple choice. You can use like matching. You can use some kind of reordering sentences. You can use short answer. In the system, we have templates for item variation. And flexible timetable, that means you can administer it anytime that you would like to, because the test is in there. You don't have to spend so many people or much time to prepare the test, and ship the test to other people or other centers, test centers. That's why they kind of think that computer-based is flexible. And speed and cheap item production, because you have data storage or retrieval, right? So you can reproduce it anytime. And it's cheap because you don't have to hire people. People write it for you first time, and then you can keep the items, right, with you. For the security, because it's not a hard copy, it's not a paper, it's a soft copy in your computer, so it's very easy to keep them in a security place, and it's cheaper in terms of having the system. Easier scoring process. Sometimes we can use automated scoring with the computer-based testing. And cheating difficult to happen because you have to sit in front of computer and then, at the test center. When I wrote this paper, the characteristics of paper-based test and the computer-based test. I have some argument in my mind. So because I'm not really agree with them. Well, time changed and we have pandemic, right? It's not similar to computer-based testing that they mentioned in the past. So let's see what's going to be in my project. So computer technology in language assessment, right? You can, if you notice, I use the word computer technology, not computer itself, right? Because if we talk about only computer, you might refer to only computer hardware, right? But if you talk about computer technology, it refers to both computer hardware and software, like operating systems, ordering tools, like expert systems, those kind of stuff. In language assessment, the use of computer technology is used for testing purposes. For example, for creating and modifying test tasks, or for giving test, delivering the test, for item selection, and for feedback providing and scoring, right? And more actually. There's a word that has been used for a long time, computer assisted language testing, or KALT, right? KALT is an integrated procedure in which language performance is elicited and assessed with the help of computer. Very straightforward, But if you see the word an integrated procedure, that means the integration of first, the use of computer for generating tests automatically. Second, the interaction of computer with the test takers in the form of online interaction. And the third one, the use of computer for the evaluation of test takers' responses. So this is by the definition of an integrated procedures. There's 3 procedures under that. What about, oops, I'm sorry. What's wrong? Okay, so this is the 3 domains under the integrated procedures, right? Okay. People talk about advantages and disadvantages of KALT long time ago. Advantages of KALT using computer to assist language testing is, first of all, it can help in overcoming administrative and logistic burdens. Remember when I talk about the shipping stuff from one place to other places. So it's help dealing with administrative and logistic burdens. It offers consistency and uniformity. That means test takers have the same system of taking the test. If you have like paper-based tests, maybe the proctors treat you differently, or the situation or the environment, of taking the paper is not really in the same manners, So for the computer-assisted language testing, everything is uniform and is consistent. KALT also assure enhanced authenticity and greater interaction. People say, well, because you use computer in your real life, and it's quite authentic to use computer in language testing, right? And you kind of interact with computers in studying, in working. So using computer is quite authentic. It's quite authentic in terms of that. KALT offers insight into test takers' route and strategies. It means that test takers have different strategies in taking tests, right? So this is especially referred to computer adaptive tests. Adaptive tests. I'm going to talk about that later. adaptive tests would match the students' test-taking strategies and ability. So students don't have to spend like 3 hours altogether. Some students may take only 1 hour to finish the test in the computer adaptive test. So this is the personal way and personal strategies of test taking. And Celt guarantees immediate test results and feedbacks. Yeah, in terms of if you like to let the students know the results immediately after the end of the test, and then you can give feedback to them later. Disadvantages of Celt would be it requires test takers, computer skills, and digital literacy, of course, right? And this is kind of a controversial issue long time ago. And these days, probably in Thailand, we probably have this kind of as a controversial issue. Whether test takers, computer skills, and digital literacy would influence their score or not, right? So that could be a research, future research for KKU-AELT as well. Celt causes test anxiety. Yes, a lot of people who are not very keen on using computer or who have kind of lack of experience using computer would be stressful in taking computer assisted language testing. Takes long time for technical preparation. Yes, especially if you use new software or if you use unfamiliar system to the test takers, like in KKU-AELT project, you'll see this kind of thing. It takes a long time for technical preparation. Celt lack of good and compatible hardware and software. In Celt, test takers need to have hardware, which is computer, with a minimum requirement of the okay, the good and compatible hardware and software in order to take the test. You have to give them the information, the minimum requirement of the computer software, for example. So because not every test taker can afford or can prepare this kind of stuff, right? And some technical problems can distract test takers, especially if the technical problems happen during the exam. So that would totally distract test takers, and it will influence their score for sure. Right. So this is advantage and disadvantage of Celt. Under Celt, there are two types of computer-based tests. Let's say the first one is computer-based test we call CBT. You may have seen this like TOEFL CBT or Lead2 CBT, right? And computer adaptive tests, which is CAT. For computer-based tests, it's very simple. You transfer the data or paper-based test to the computer system, right? And we use linear approach, which means test takers take the same set of test items and tasks, exactly the same thing, right? Even though you kind of shuffle the items, it's still the same set of test items and tasks. This is computer-based test, right? For computer adaptive tests, this kind of test happened first in 1985 at the Brigham Young University in the US, when they created the first CAT to distribute to the big number of test takers at the university. The concept of computer adaptive test is relying on item response theory to control adaptivity based on the test taker's performance and on each item on the test. That means they kind of assume that each item is not equally difficult in the test, right? When they assume that different items have different difficulty levels, that means good test takers and poor test takers would take the test differently, right? So they need the item response theory to control the adaptiveness to the different test takers, right? That means test is adapted to the test taker's level of ability. Test taker is presented with an item or task dependent on their answer at the preceding item. If you answer item A, for example, item A correctly, next item would be a little bit more difficult. Right? If you answer next item correctly, the next item would be a little bit more difficult, you know. So because they would like to see your ability level. But if you answer it wrong, next item would be easier, you know, it's things like this. So not everyone would get the same test. Different test takers get different sets of tests depending on their ability, right? So this is adaptive test. Example of adaptive test would be TOEFL, IELTS. So when we talk about computer-based testing or computer-assisted language testing, either CBT or CAT, we need to talk about quality of the test, you know. So the validity, the first one. In the paper-based test or general test, language test, the test must measure what the test developer has meant it to measure. What about in the CALT? Constructs of academic reading, listening, or speaking, whatever kind of construct, and online composing can be reflected in computer-assisted language tasks. Open-ended responses are less likely to be affected by systematic test-taking strategies. That means no matter what happens, you won't let the construct of your test, decrease. You have to still guarantee the validity of the test. That means you have to get rid of the problems about computer technology. The problems or the factors of computer technology would not affect the validity of the test, right? So you have to think beyond the traditional language test. Reliability. In general, the test must give you consistent and reliable and reproducible scores, right? This is quite easy for computer-assisted scoring system. If you have a good scoring system, you probably have, very reliable, especially the objective testing, right? What about subjective tests like writing or speaking? In TOEFL test, for example, they have automated scoring, which they have to have research to support whether the automated scoring would give the reliable scores or not, right? So in that case, you have to work more on guarantee the reliability of the computer-assisted scoring system. Practicality. The test is practical in terms of amount of time, effort, and money, right? Internet-based tests or computer-based tests add flexibility of time and place for test delivery. That means you can take it anytime, anywhere. You don't have to spend, money to buy tickets to fly to Singapore to take any kind of test, those kind of things. Authenticity. A test is authentic when the language in it is as natural as possible so that the test takers can understand and deal with it effectively. That's the authenticity in general. In computer-assisted test tasks, whether it stimulates some task in the target language use domain. A lot of research show that there's no problem with authenticity in CALT because, these days we use technology, we use computers, so everything would be online. So it really simulates the authentic or real life of test takers or the target language use domain. Watchback. This is very important. It is the influence of language testing and teaching on teaching and learning. What about in CALT? CALT should prompt computer work in language classes, which may help learners gain important skills. Language programs may provide computer-based language learning to learners. This is some example of impact of CALT in teaching and learning, you know. And I think we kind of see this impact quite a lot in Thailand right now after the COVID-19, not after, during the COVID-19. Interactiveness means the test starts with some task that can create comfort for students. The topic chosen should raise the students' curiosity and the interest of the test tasks. That's in general. What about in code? You can use multimedia, right? Multimedia input may offer opportunities for enhanced interactiveness. You know, even the picture, the colorful pictures, sounds, you know, clips, those kind of stuff can kind of let the student involved in your test, involve their interest in your test. That's the interactiveness. So I have to kind of think or consider this in mind too when I design computer-based tests for Khon Kaen University. Now, our test is KKU-AELT, stands for Khon Kaen University Academic English Language Tests. Okay. We Center for English Language Excellence is responsible for giving this test to graduate students only. We also have a language institute at Khon Kaen University. At Khon Kaen University, we call KKU-LI. KKU-LI is responsible for undergrad students. They also have their own test, which is called KEPT, Khon Kaen University English Proficiency Test. So we have two tests at the university. So first one is for undergrad. It is called KEPT. The second one is for graduate. It is called AELT. That's why I called it Academic English Language Test, to kind of differentiate them between English proficiency for undergrad and academic English for graduate students. Okay. This center was established since 2015. It's very new, very young, only 6 years. But before we became a center, we have been responsible for teaching graduate students who do not pass English test. Okay, we give the test to the graduate students for a long time. I think about 15 or more years. Okay, and then we have the center established in 2015. Under this center is under Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Khon Kaen University. I am the director, and the mission is testing, teaching, training, translation, and interpretation, just similar to other language institute, but we call it Center for English Language Excellence. Okay, we administer KKU-AELT. We are the IELTS and TOEIC center as well. We have intensive English courses for graduate only students, TOEFL, IELTS courses, and tailor-made courses, and we have translation services like English, Thai, Thai, English. Okay. Now, KQL is a proficiency English language test. The construct of the test is academic reading and writing only. Actually, when we wrote the test specification, we have all 4 skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. But since our main stakeholder is the graduate college or graduate school of Khon Kaen University, we let them choose. We let them choose whether you would have your graduate students to become competent in reading, writing, or 4 skill or some particular skill. They said, oh, only academic reading and writing is enough for the graduate students. So we just focus on academic reading and writing. We framed our test based on CFR B1 to C1 because remember, I would like to make it different from KEPT, which is for undergrad, and KEPT is more like TOEIC. So I would, start with B1, which is for intermediate level B1, B2, and C1 from the CFR. Target language used for this is academic English at the university level in Thai context, not in general in Thai university. The test taker will take 3 hours of test. The reading part is the multiple choice type with 4 options. It would take 2 hours. And writing part is the agree and disagree style question like TOEFL and IELTS. Remember that. And test taker have only one prompt for writing part, and then they spend 1 hour for this writing part.
Excuse me, I think you accidentally.
Accidentally mute.
Yeah, that is fine.
Only 69 items for reading section, and it's 100 scores. We report score in 5 bands, bands 1 to band 5. Also writing 100 score, band 1 to band 5. The master degree and PhD students have to have different band score. For master degree, they need to get at least band 3, band 3 in order to pass the exam. PhD, band 4 to pass the exam. Okay. Test scores are used for graduate program admission, and this KKU-AELT score is also used for recruiting academic staff at Khon University as well. We'll have a little bit break because there's an ice cream ice cream break. He usually come at
Nice.
this time, 10:30. Okay, very on time. Good. Well, the target test takers are those who would like to study in graduate programs at KKU, and also present graduate studies, because KKU is very kind in terms of recruiting students. The graduate school said that, well, if you got only band 2, we are going to admit you first, but before you graduate, can you take a test and then get band 3 or band 4 for PhD student to pass it? So that's why we have 2 groups of customers. The first one is those who would like to enter the school, and the second one is the present graduate students who still do not pass the test. Okay. In 2020, the total number of graduate students at KKU is 1,700, which is lower than the earlier years. So that means we have to administer the test for these number of students each year. So approximately 200 students each year. We have test score users are KKU graduate school, graduate programs at KKU from different faculties, and also faculties who would like to recruit their new staff. Okay. These are the calendar. We have monthly calendar for the students to take the test. Oops. Okay. So it's like this for, so 5 years until COVID-19 in Thailand. Remember last year, during the Songkran, the unwed Songkran, the first unwed Songkran in Thailand, right? So we have to stop everything. I believe every university has stopped, giving the test, right? But then at that time, the graduate school also requested us, can you help? Because we are in the midst of admission. We cannot admit the students if they did not give us the English score. So I said, oh, can you just like wave? Can you just wait until the COVID is getting better? They said, oh, no, we cannot wait. So that's a pressure, right? So this pop up, how can we administer the KKU-AELT test to students or applicants while they are not at university, while they're not on campus, they are at their home. very challenging, right? Even it's the classroom-based test, yeah, I'm not taking a risk giving the test online. What about this one? It's quite high stake, right? More high stakes than the classroom-based test. Well, that's the very challenging time. We are at the university. They are actually not only in Thailand, but they are in different countries like in China, in Laos, in Myanmar, in Indonesia, in Nigeria, whatever. Well, so I have to consider this is, I have to keep in mind. First of all, how can I transfer paper-based test to computer-based? Second, it has to be online delivered test, which means uh, they can be anywhere. They can be at their home, actually. What about distance proctoring? What can we do for distance proctoring? And we don't have money to make an adaptive test to ensure the cheating one, right? We don't have that much money. It's very, like sudden situation. We don't have enough test items to make the adaptive test. We don't have system. We don't have that much money to make it an adaptive test. Of course, it's not an adaptive. It's going to be only computer-based, like normal computer-based test. In our test, we have both objective and subjective. How can we do the subjective scoring? Objective is fine because it's there. We can use the automate scoring. What about subjective scoring? Right? How can we manage that? So I keep that in mind. Now, I need to design. I'm not worried about the test itself because we know that the test is quite uh, good in terms of test quality because we have done the item analysis every time that we give the paper-based test, and we know that our test is quite good at a certain level. So I'm not really worried about the test itself, but I'm worried about the interface design, the computer stuff. So I decided before, and then I found this later. So it's kind of backward things. There are three phases of designing an interface for Celt. The first one is planning and initial design. And the second one is usability testing. That means you test how well your system work, right? And the third one is to have the field trials and fine tune, right? Because we have to make sure that the interface, or after we transfer the paper-based test to computer-based, it will not interfere the assessment. It will not contaminate the scores of the students, right? That would violate the validity. So we need to ensure that it's kind of clean. In the first phase, Future said that we need to think about the prototypes, like hardware. What kind of hardware should the test takers use? What about software? The testing system itself, what are we using? Good interface design. These are things that we should take into consideration, like navigation of the system, page layout, even the page layout, text colors, fonts, font size, toolbars, controls, icons, graphics. Yes, you have to consider that. Help center, whether you would have some kind of help button for the test takers to in order to get help from you. What about item types? Are you using multimedia in your test? What forms of writing and short answer tasks that you would use in your interface? In the meantime, you have to think about delivery system, and how would you score and store the score in the server? What kind of server? So these are behind the scene. What about distribution of section score by human raters? Right, this is in the first phase, planning and initial design. Once you have the first phase done, you have to look at second phase. Anticipate problems and think about solutions in advance. You take yourself into the test taker's shoes. What if, what if, what if, what if? So many questions, so many problems would happen, right? So you have to think ahead or anticipate and think about the solutions that would uh, help the test takers. Select test takers from usability studies. So in this is the original framework of Future. So he mentioned the studies. I didn't care about study at all at that time. So because I just would like to get it, administered to the student, not really the study, really. And what about the item writing and banking? Do you have enough banking? How are you going to put uh, the test items into the bank, the test bank? And how are you going to generate the test? That kind of stuff. Generate mean put the test items into one set of tests. Traveling score rubrics. Do you have rubrics? Do you have uh, some study about construct or not? Phase 3, you have to ensure that the interface design works well across sites and platforms. Across sites mean in at home, on campus, or in different house. And how many? If you have 200 test takers, that means you have 200 sites, because you don't ask them to sit together, right? They are at home. Platforms, well, platforms. Do the platforms like the Firefox or the Explorer would help? Which one works well with MacBook or a PC? You have to you think about this all the time. Compatibility of the equipment as well. Seeking interface related resources variants. So you have to think about other resources that may help the interface design or that may interfere in the interface design. Also, this one is very important. Developing tutorials, because this is quite new, right? You change it from paper-based to computer, it's new. Students are not familiar with that. Test takers are not familiar with that. Are you developing some tutorials package or video for them? Or are you producing any practice or example test? What about rater, proctors? Are you producing some packages for rater training, proctor training, right, as well? Conducting rater training considering scaling studies, scoring report. Again, he mentioned the studies. So I kind of adapt this framework into my work. In the implementation, so I have the design framework there, but it's not, I cannot apply all mentioned in the design in my project. Right? At the implementation stage, you can see that I have 3 attempts, attempt 1, attempt 2, and attempt 3. In different attempts, I use different interface design. How come? Because the first one's not working, second one didn't work well. So I need to find the best one, right? Remember, I need to find the best one for my situation. So that's why I realized that this is some kind of action research. I repeat the same process of doing some small project to find the appropriate way for giving the KKU-AELT test, right? Now let's see each one. Attempt number 1, right? The platform is KKU-AELT platform. Oh, during the COVID-19, actually earlier before COVID-19, we had developed a software system we call KKU-AELT platform, which is tailor-made. We hire a programmer to write this platform for us. We tell him everything. We need this and that, very like tailor-made. So everything seems perfect. Everything is perfect. It's kind of designed for our test specifically, right? So we kind of hope that this is going to work well at the very first attempt, right? What about proctoring? We use Zoom meeting because we have studied. We looked at TOEFL from home. Remember at that time, I think TOEFL launched the TOEFL from home in April 2020. And then I looked at their system. I saw Proctor-U, which is a program. When I look at the price, we cannot afford that really. So we need to kind of find manual things. So we consult. We heard that the Faculty of Medicine have do the proctoring things using Zoom. So we asked them, okay, Zoom meeting would work at this stage. So we try that. We look at the framework, right? We cannot apply all because it's not applicable all. So our design is computer-based. We have self-developed or locally developed KQL software, which is at that time almost finished, almost finished. We have to kind of speed up the work. And then the interface is perfect for me because it's tailor-made. I tell him everything like, I would like this layout, text would be this big or font size, color, tools bar. We need some help for the test taker. So test taker can click here or here to go this and that. Oh, very perfect things นะคะเหมือนแบบว่าตัดชุดเลย So we have MC in writing types and writing platform, which we said, well, how can we block the spelling automation ใช่ไหมคะ correct spelling correct automation, and we can do that finally. So everything sounds perfect, right? We said we're going to launch that using web-based delivery because we have our own server, which is KKU server. We asked for a server and we have that at our center. And phase number 2, we said, oh, we're going to take first group of test takers to answer our questions about the usability of the system, right? Phase 3, we think a lot, we plan a lot about the site and the platform. We try out it but with minimum test takers, minimum number of test takers, because we cannot get the big number of test takers at that time. We try out about 3 times to make sure that the system is working, right? We develop tutorials, packages for test takers, for proctors, and for technical support as well. We have everything for them, right? We have orientation for them. We made an appointment with them like a few days ahead of the test dates, and then giving them orientation, showing them how to log into the system, to enter the system, generate the user ID and password for them to enter the system. We also think about online proctoring. We need to set a system for online proctoring, right? And let me show you things that we have prepared for them at the earlier. Okay, this is what we have prepared for them. We have, see, manual for KQL online system. We have instructions for KQL from home. We have Zoom user guide. We have FAQs for online KQL testing. This is what we have planned ahead before our attempt 1. And then we kind of improve it later. For example, this one. Right? So this is the online system. We have manual for them like this. See, so this is the first platform. We let them know that, well,
sorry,
if you go to...
I think I may need to interrupt you. I'm not sure whether the picture that you want to share is appearing. It seems like the screen. Yeah, we just see it.
So I have to kind of stop sharing first before I go to this page. Okay, so this is the system. Great. We show them how to get into the system. How can I? Okay, so our system is, like I said, I love this. You know, you have ID, user ID, password. You have, you know, passage on your left-hand side. This is the interface one. You know, you have to consider the block stuff and the help system, So when you do the test, if you have test status bar, that means you have done item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And if you like to go to passage 2, you can click on your left hand side. Everything's kind of facilitate the test takers to do the test. See, so this is how to type in your answer, and you can go to passage 1 either on your left hand side or below, you know, kind of things that we can help them. For writing test, you can, you know, click and then go to the questions. You can type in the question, and when you finish, you click submit. There's the counting system, counting numbers of system for you, something like this. So this is the first thing what we kind of prepare for them in terms of the manual. Okay, we also have Zoom user guideline, right? FAQ. See, so this is what we have planned for them earlier, right? So they have to study this to help them get through the test. Can you guess? Did they read or not? They didn't read. Even though I give them the orientation, everything that they ask in the orientation is actually in the manual. Okay. So in the KKU-AELT platform, it is specially designed, not officially approved because we haven't really finished it yet, remember? But we tried out it 3 times. Anyway, because we don't have any platform at that time and we have pressure from the graduate school. So we decided to use it. Okay. And then on the test date, all right, this is what we have done before the test date. Timeline, we have to test operation, platform and method, test taking procedures. We have to rehearse our proctor as well, to rehearse the training for the proctor and rehearse how to proctor via Zoom room. We prepare support and manual for them. Chat, email, FB group, orientation, start training, everything ค่ะ อันนี้ timeline. See, we have only 10 days for preparation actually. Only 10 days to get everything out to the test takers, right? And then we have to first the most important thing is you have to have consent form ค่ะ We ask them to sign in a consent form to say that if something wrong, if something happened during the test, that means you kind of accept this kind of online testing because this was our first time to do the online testing. So they have to prepare their equipments, internet, everything, you know, in the consent form. So if they sign and return it, that means they can take the test. So this is our timeline. Communication and support. Okay, test room manuals, online test orientation, email. We email them. We contact them via email. Every channel is actually email, Facebook group, chat box. You know, so many things that we have to support them. These are things that we have done. We have online proctor. We have manual for proctors. We have a special group that they can join, and then we give them some message or news via this Facebook group. This is the way that we proctor it. We let them know that in the manual, they have to set their testing station like this, device number 1 and device number 2 here. And this is on your right hand side, this is at the proctoring center on the test date. You know, the proctor would look at in the Zoom room. In one Zoom room, we have one proctor at that time, only one proctor. There are 20 test takers in each Zoom room, but 20 test takers need to 2 devices. So that means our proctors have to look at 40 windows, 40 screens in order to look at the screen from device number 1, and then the device number 2 is the behavior of the test takers, that we can see whether to kind of proctor the behavior of the test takers, whether they cheat or not. Right? So this is the process of doing the first thing. Log in, test taker log into the system and do the test 3 hours automatically time, and then log out. Very easy. Proctor's jobs is, first of all, open test room. Before that, they have to reserve the Zoom room. At KKU, we use account of each proctor to open the test room, to reserve the Zoom room. On the test day, proctors have to open test room, check ID and camera, start a test, proctor and facilitator doing the same time, check test submission, and then end test. Sounds very easy, but in reality, it's not. Okay, this is the station. I asked them to sit like this, and I intended to have the hall in between because I can run and help them. All right. The first trial, we have almost 500 test takers. About 400 is in Thailand, but different provinces. 43 are in their countries. After the test, I gave them questionnaire, 326 for master degree and 111 for doctoral. Unfortunately, everything seemed fine, right? Until the end of the reading test, 2 hours of the reading test, when the proctor said, well, time's almost up, you can click submit to send your test, right? In the KKU-AELT, my ideal platform. Everything click submit, everyone clicked submit, and there's a crash because because the server cannot accept all 500 at the same time, or in the at the at the time. So everything's crash. Oh, I cannot submit. Oh, everything's just like questions and questions. I called the programmer and said, what's happened? Can you check? And then programmer just like was very excited. He cut out everything. So that means I cannot use the system at all. We have writing left. We have writing part left. We have morning session and the afternoon session. Morning session for 250 about, and the afternoon session have another 250. What should I do? Because there's only writing part left. The first group of the test takers haven't taken any test, writing test. They cannot submit the reading test. So I transfer everything to Google Form. See, very quickly, I type in Google Form for the writing part first, and then let them take the writing part through Google Form on my first trial. In the afternoon, we didn't use the KKU-AELT platform anymore because the system is shut down, right? And we are still not sure whether we got the responses from the first batch of test takers or not. We have to check. So we cannot use the KKU-AELT platform for the second group in the afternoon. We need to put everything in Google Form. But other systems like Proctoring system are still the same. Only the platform changed to Google Form. But the Google Form is not very secure in terms of time, right? In terms of saving mode, because it doesn't save your answer automatically. If your internet breaks down, that means you have to restart everything, right, in the Google Form. But we needed to take risk. So we used Google Form for the second batch. And everything went quite okay, right? We gave the questionnaire to them. And the questionnaire is gone as well. Somehow, we kind of lost the questionnaire of the first attempt. But we got feedback with the qualitative, like people post in the Facebook group, oh, the system is not ready. Why didn't you choose it? Whatever kind of complaint, a lot of complaint. And we sit together, we have a group discussion with the proctors and our staff. We kind of brainstorm and then reflect what we have encountered. So we've got these qualitative feedback from the first attempt. So before the test, we said there's problems with the consent form. Students did not send consent form. They didn't even check their email. Okay, so there's a kind of a troop of test takers just one day before the test date. They said, oh, I haven't sent a consent form. Can I get into the test? Those kind of stuff. So we kind of, that's a problem in terms of responsibility of the test takers. Because that's the test confirmation. The consent form is a test confirmation. Test takers' ignorance of test manuals. So that's why they have a lot of questions during the test and it interfere others, because we have Zoom room. When you have to talk, you have to switch on your mic and then everyone can hear your talk, right? Your question. So it's cause others problems as well. During the test, the KKU-AELT outage, right? It's breakdown. Well, it's good experience, very exciting day. Test takers bad internet signal. That means many of them lost not many, a group of them lost their signal during the second part in using the Google form. So they have to redo everything in the Google form within the time that they have at the time. Test takers did not read the instructions and accidentally click submit before finishing the test. In the system, in the KKU-AELT platform, they didn't know, they didn't read the manual, they didn't have a good preparation, they didn't even attend the orientation. So they accidentally click submit and everything's gone. They only did like first or second 2 paragraphs and 2 passages, and then they cannot redo the test. And after the test, the problems about scoring system management, because during the test, the test taker report that, Ajahn, I chose A for item 1 ค่ะอาจารย์ and for item 2 I chose B. When I would like to go check my item A, my answer changed from A to C. So the system is not reliable, even though we checked earlier, right? So this is probably the limitations of the locally developed platform, okay, or software. So that means you have to have like very good trialing session for this before using it. So that's the attempt 1, okay. Attempt 2. Now, attempt 1, we cannot use KKU-AELT platform anymore because the programmer said that he cannot fix it, and the server would receive only 250 students at the same time. But we have more participants. We cannot increase the server, those kind of stuff, so many things, technical problems. So we decided to not using KKU-AELT platform, which I'm quite sad because it's a very good one.
May I ask
Yeah.
about your server? Is it like cloud-based or it's a physical server?
At that time, it's a physical server.
So
That's
that is why.
probably, right? Yeah. So, okay, attempt number 2. Simply, I use Google Form because I had no choice. I cannot find any platform at that time to, store the test and then give it to the test takers. Attempt number 2 started in January in 2021. So after the first trial, after the first attempt, our COVID-19 is better, right? It was better at that time. So we have paper-based tests during the August, September, October, December of 2020. And then it's kind of getting worse in the January 2021. So we decided to use online, but this time we use Google Form, and everything else would be the same, the tutorials, proctoring system, right? Okay. In the Google Form, I think everyone have experience using Google Form, right? So it's kind of easy, it's generic, widely used, it's quite reliable in terms of system, right? And in terms of server, I think. And you can use timed, right? Timer to time your whole test. And at my university, we need KKU mail to enter the Google form. Unlimited number of test takers at a time. Not like my first attempt, right? Only 250 would be allowed. So even though it's kind of have awkward test display in my sense, because our test and the Google display is not really matched. It's kind of complicated for scoring assignment because I have the writing part, right? It's very hard to get my raters into the system and then let them score. So we have to do the manual assignment for scoring. That means we have to copy and paste things. But anyway, we use Google Form because we have no choice. Everything follow the same procedures. Log into the Google Form. Test takers do the test and then log out. The only concern is the internet, because if you lost the internet, that means your answer wouldn't be saved, right? Proctoring would do the same thing. Open the test room. We also use a Zoom room for proctoring. Checking ID, camera, proctor, and then end the test. Okay. We use Google Form twice for 2 groups of students in January and February, and we have quite a large number of participants of the test takers at the time. I didn't collect the questionnaire, collect the data from the questionnaire data, the questionnaire evaluation questionnaire. But anyway, we have conclude that bad internet signal, we cannot control internet at test takers' home. We can control internet at our proctoring center. So the internet at our proctoring center is good, but not at the test taker's house. So we cannot control. So some of them have to retake the test, retake the test. They said, "Whoa, Azan, I have done almost finished." But then I have to redo everything. I said, yes, that's what we talked about it in the orientation. We have to tell them everything in the orientation, the good point and bad points for having Google. Anxiety caused by Google form limitation, not from form limitation. Because they know that if their internet is not working well, they're gonna lose all of their answers. Some of them, jot down their answers in a piece of paper, and then if something happened, they can copy the answer into the Google form again. So that's what they did. Only some of them did. But many of them have been anxious about using Google form, but we had no choice. Right? And cheating happened. Cheating here means they visit other websites. They looked at some books on some notes under the table. They asked someone for help. That's what we kind of noticed from this attempt. So cheating happened more than we used the KKU-AELT platform in the first attempt. Okay. Writing scoring management, like I mentioned earlier, it's very hard to score the writing part in the system. So we kind of, because of the cheating, we said if we use Google Form, it's not gonna work because we cannot control their page, right? We cannot control that page. They can visit other website anytime. They can even Google something and then copy and paste for the writing, especially for the writing part, right? So how should I deal with that? So I talked with the Innovation Center, Technology and Innovation Center at the university. They said, well, Ajahn, you can use Safe Exam Browser. Safe Exam Browser is a freeware. Actually, this idea, I just realized that this idea, KKU has learned this idea from Chiang Mai University นะคะ อาจารย์มอ is in here too. Chiang Mai University have used SEB and Zoom first, right? And then I said, okay, I'm going to use SEB and Zoom. Let's try. So we have to learn how to do it first before we have used it in the attempt number 3. We change everything. This attempt we use SEB, Safe Exam Browser. We didn't use Google Form. We used KKU Exam, which is a Moodle platform. I think everyone has Moodle. Every university use Moodle. Good interface design. I'm going to show you in a few minutes. We have online delivery, same thing, objective, subjective scoring. The proctoring stuff is the same, except we need to produce more materials for the test takers in order to prepare them to use SEB and KKU exam. Okay. KKU exam is a learning management system. At our university, we call it e-learning, but then we turn Moodle into exam portal. We call KKU exam. So in KKU exam, you can, generate your test. You can create your test, and you can choose so many types of tests in here, right? So I use KKU exam because Moodle is working well with Safe Exam Browser. Safe Exam Browser is a free software that you can download. Everyone can use it. It's a free software that turns your computer into a secure workstation. By the word secure workstation or test station, Safe Exam Browser will block your screen. Once you install Safe Exam Browser and it works with KKU exam, you cannot switch on the Safe Exam Browser with the KKU exam. It will control access to other resources. Like you cannot go to other websites. You cannot use other operations in your computer. You will have only KKU exam screen on your computer. So that's a safe mode for us as a test developer, right? So the system of Safe Exam would be, there's a kiosk application in the Safe Exam Browser, which when you switch on, the kiosk application will start the browser, right? And then the browser will control the connected to the learning management system, which is Moodle, and it will block, kind of trigger the security system, and everything is blocked onto your screen, right? Let me show you some thing. Okay, so this is you see my screen now, right? Okay, we have to create new manual for them. So this is the manual for KKU-AELT. We need to tell them how to install Safe Exam Browser. This one is quite a pain for the test taker because it's new and it's a little bit complicated for them. But if they read the manual, which is we have both actually in Thai and in English. If they read manual, they're gonna learn how to download the Safe Exam Browser. But then we don't really trust their their ability to download Safe Exam Browser, we also have the orientation for them to learn how to download. And yes, we found that many of them actually didn't know how to download Safe Exam Browser and haven't checked the manual, right? So we tell them how to download Safe Exam Browser. We tell them how to get into the KQ exam, right? We tell them how to we generate the username and password using their ID, personal ID, so that they can remember. We kind of think we used to generate other things else, but they cannot remember. So we change it to the personal ID. We lead them how to do the test, right? Click this test, and then you'll find reading test and writing test. Click Save Exam Browser to switch on the program. Click Download Configuration, and then see how complicated. The Save Exam Browser will ask you to identify yourself one more time. Who are you? Right? And then you have to tell them with your ID. Then you go to the test, and you can start a test now. Start a test. This is the interface in the test. We have the reading passage for them. We have questions for them. On your right hand side, we have a clock for you. 2 hours, the left time, the finished attempt, the tabs for each passage. The red ones mean you have done that, and the eye icon means you can click eye to look at the passage, the reading passage, the kind of stuff. Finish attempt, and then go to the writing part. Same thing with the same step of switch on Safe Exam Browser. In the writing mode, we have word count for you. We have a clock for you, and also with the system of Safe Exam Browser, student the spelling automate checking won't work here, and that's good for us as a test developer, right? Then to submit, and then out of a Safe Exam Browser. We also have flow chart for them. See, so they can look at this flow chart and then follow the steps here, right? So we try to do everything for them. We let them know, okay, this is the minimum requirement for your computer and laptop and MacBook, computer, laptop version, this and that, camera, speaker, smartphone, ID card, passport, and FAQ, Safe Exam Browser, program. Some problems, if you cannot open, that means here and here, here and there, or everything ค่ะ everything จริงๆเลย This is example of the support that we provide for them. And then on the test stage, we have done these combination like KQ exam, Safe Exam Browser, and Zoom meeting 4 times already. And we once gave them the questionnaire, asked them to rate their satisfaction. Test station, they said, okay, good. Test station means their own place, and they are happy. Many of them love to be at their house because they don't have to spend money to travel back and forth. Internet signal, that means their own internet signal. Self-readiness, themselves, they're not ready for the exam, really. Either the knowledge and I think probably the knowledge of taking the exam. Person identification system, that means we ask them to show their ID via Zoom like this. They are happy with that. Online testing is good, yes. Proctor's help, very good, because we have trained them very well, and we kind of ask them to facilitate anything that they can. Not only the proctor's help during the test, but we also have the technical room. Like we have another Zoom room that if they have a technical problem, they can enter this room anytime. We have technician in there to help them with the technical problem, either before the test or during the test. SEB is good or not? Many of them said yes. For those who said SCB is complicated, it's problematic, I cannot do this, whatever, a lot of complaints from a group of test takers. And those groups are those who did not attend the online orientation. So that means that orientation helps because those who did not attend the orientation cannot do it, cannot fix the problems. KU exam system is good. Technology help. Okay, this is what I say. Technology room is good. So it's quite okay. However, we got feedback from test takers. They said, oh, they have computer related problems. That means the spec of their computer may not work because they have to clear their space sometimes. For some people, they have to clear their storage in order to install SEB. Or the window is not updated, those kind of stuff. Or they install SEB in one computer, but when it's a test day, they use another computer, this kind of stuff. Complicated test system. Okay, they complain about SEB, but we as a test developer to prevent cheating, we're quite happy with SEB. Test takers' ignorance of test manuals, absence at the orientation, yes. Test takers' health problems because they say, the screen is too small, I cannot see it. Or I need to go to the restroom often because this and that, Undesirable testing environment. In the Zoom meeting room, like I mentioned earlier, if someone has a problem, they have to switch on and then talk. So that's why it's kind of interfere others test takers while doing the test. Okay. And sometimes someone forgot to switch off their mic, there's noise in there. Interface design, especially long passages. Okay, this one is good because the test takers comment that some passage is very long, so I am not comfortable with using scoring from upper to the lower. It's quite long. Can you just rearrange the reading passage to be on the left hand side and then the test item on your right hand side? That would help the test takers. Okay, that's good, but we cannot do that in KQ exam. So I'm kind of thinking right now, I'm thinking of develop our own KQL platform again, okay, with a more reliable and carefully designed. Proctor's feedback said test takers are unprepared. For unprepared test takers, this one is a trouble for other test takers who already prepare and have no problems at all. So we try to get rid of these problems. Test takers equipment qualities, right, like I said, qualities of the computers, qualities of even the camera. Some people doesn't have camera, so we have to please, can you buy a cheap one, or can you use your phone? You can use 3 devices, you can use your phone as a camera, those kinds of things. Different ways of cheating. We cannot avoid cheating at all. Even though we use Safe Exam browser, we cannot avoid cheating because we are not there at their house. We are not close to them. We just proctor them through Zoom. So there's different ways to cheat. Like you can see that there's a book under the table, and then we saw them kind of, back and forth like this. So we asked them to, can you use your device number 2, and then pan the camera down there. They just like stand up to put to make the materials of the book, on the floor, those kind of stuff. So you can see different ways of cheating. So as a test developers, you have to be strict on the cheating. If we can catch cheating, I would say that I'm sorry, I need to ask you to leave the room because you are cheating. You know, those kind of stuff. And they said, oh, I'm not cheating. You're not cheating. Okay, we have a record. So we send the record or the pictures to them. And then they admitted that. So that it's a good way to have Zoom meeting. Anyway, you know, because you can record, you can capture, you can record their cheating behavior. Camera angles problems. The camera, the second camera, it's not 100% proctoring, but we did our best to do that. Okay. So talking about test qualities, you know, after I have tried all my projects, longitudinal project, I still have to concern about validity, reliability, authenticity. Like I said, for the test itself, I'm not really concerned about that because I try to run the stat to confirm the validity. So I use RAG analysis to look at the items, and the infit is within the desirable range, showing that the test has content validity and the construct validity. For reliability, we have human raters. We have at least 2 raters for each writing response. Manually rate. So we have at least we can say we are confident to say that our reliability is quite high because we have at least 0.8 because if there is a discrepancy of the scoring more than 80%, we put the third rater in there, right? So the results from the reliability of the test that we use to analyze is 0.8 in from RAG, and inter-rater is 0.86 for that. Authenticity, we claim that online tests reflects what the learners have to encounter in their academic life. My sense, my feeling is the student did the writing part better. I don't know why. Maybe because they are familiar with typing, you know. So they type longer than before. I don't know. That's my assumption. So maybe they are familiar with typing, not familiar with handwriting. So that's why they can do better on the writing test. That could be a room for the research. Practicality, it's practical in terms of time, yeah, place and money. Money, save their monies for traveling, commutation, and place. They can be any places, but we ask them to be in a quiet place alone, not in a cafeteria, those kind of stuff. Interaction, the test starts with a short reading passage. Yeah, we kind of arrange that since it's in the paper-based form. Easy items first and then difficult item later. The topics of reading passages and writing prompts are up to date, yeah, and evolving test takers, like topic about vaccinate, about health, about, you know, things, up to date things. Washback, we haven't really studied washback of the test yet, either the paper-based test or the online test. And I think that's interesting to learn more. Lesson learned. I think the best solution for me now is using KKU exam system, safe exam browser, online proctoring using Zoom, and it's convenient in terms of time, place, and money. I think for my center, I think we spend more money actually than paper-based tests, but we are happy to do that. I think support helps. You know, everything that we have planned ahead, like test manuals, orientation, technical support proctors, have, you know, very helpful. Have no problems at all, but it helped the test takers a lot. So I'm happy with this one. Ongoing improvement, of course, the interface. If we have a chance, we can talk to the Technology and Innovation Center in terms of redesign the interface. I'm not sure whether they can do that or not. Operating system, okay, which we need to improve. We are getting our new portal. which right now we use KKU exam, but we are going to get our own portal to be KKU-AELT .ac.th, I think. And research opportunities for KKU-AELT is, since it's an ongoing improvement, we can do, validity, reliability studies about this, and doing research about washback and some development of a new KKU-AELT platform to be specific for KKU-AELT platform. All right, I think this is it. So I hope that you have learned something, and if you have any questions or comments, or you would like to share your experience of doing the online assessment, I'm happy to talk to you about that.
I think we got a couple of questions in the chat box. The first question is about objective and subjective scoring. So the question is that what is the difference between the two?
Objective scoring is if, okay, your test have fixed answer, let's say, fixed answers. That means A, B, the answer is A, the answer is B, C, or D. So that's the objective scoring. Reliability would be 100%, right? Because it's accurate. Subjective scorings involve humans' judgment, like giving score to writing or speaking. That's the subjective scoring one.
Thank you. And I've just sent everyone an evaluations form through the link. So this will take maybe a couple of minutes for you to complete. And there's more questions. In the meantime, you can complete the form. It's about proctoring system, I think.
Each test taker is required to have two devices. Okay.
Is there
you have any comments from the test takers about their inability to acquire two devices? Yes. Sure. They complain, oh, why do I have two? I have only one. I don't have another one, Ajahn. So we need to, talk to them with understanding. So we said, well, this is not a normal situation. It's a COVID time. We actually organize these online tests for you, especially. So we need to cooperate. We need to work together. I do my job, and can you please do your job? Can you find anything that you can, you can borrow, or if you don't have one, you can borrow our own computer or laptop. You can come in and then use our laptop to use as your second device. So if we kind of talk to them like this, that this is a collaborative, not we as a test developer or a test center to give you the test and we don't care anything at all. No, we need to understand them. We need to give them, facilitate them as much as we can. Even my internet is good at my job, but I'm in Khon. Can I come into the university? Yes, come in. We set, a kind of a test room for them. And at that time, we had 3 test takers came in, sit in a room, and then we proctor them there using the internet on campus. So everything that we can support them, we do. Yes. Research shows that typed essays tend to score higher than handwriting essays. Yeah.
Yeah, this may be true, especially for the coming up generation or the digital native, right?
Right.
And are you plan to use these computer-based tests after the COVID time?
Yes. Right now we have another option for us. We are doing CBT, like the real CBT at a test center. We have 77 seats at the computer-based test on campus at our faculty. That's the CBT at our university. For online, we may still have to do that because of the international students. So they are in their countries if they cannot travel. So we can do that with the international students and other students who are in the red areas. Since we don't know like when COVID will end, right?
Yeah, maybe
So
it's become our next
yeah.
normal. So yeah,
How much did you invest in this
the
big
cost.
project? And who helped develop the system? What system, huh? If it's the first system, we did it. The faculty invested the first system. The
I
KKU
think I
exam
think
system.
I think she might think about the one that you hire the programmer to
Ah,
do.
okay. So that's the faculty invested to develop the system. Well, if you have an experience of hiring someone to write a program for you, that's not easy. Nah.
And not cheap as well, right?
It's not cheap, yes.
Yeah, the server as well, I
Right,
guess.
right. Can you elaborate more on the increased expenses for the test, such as proctoring and programmers? Oh, okay. Well, programmers, when you hire a programmer, it's very expensive, for sure. But proctoring, since I need to have more proctors, when I did the paper-based test, I only have 2 proctors for maybe 50 students, right? 2 proctors for 50 students. Right now, I have 2 proctors for 20 test takers. See, so I have to hire them more. And I need to pay more because nobody would like to sit 3 hours in front of computer. I need to have a good incentive for them. I pay more for being a proctor for online tests because they said, oh, I cannot stare at the computer for a long time, this kind of stuff. So we need to provide them with a big screen TV showing them so that they don't have to concentrate that much in terms of their eyes. However, many students are not good at typing as they don't do word processing anymore, okay? So their typing speed isn't that fast, right? Right. But I think there's a need for research now for Thai students, especially. We have learned about others uh, groups of students. What about Thai, right? And during this time, we kind of abruptly changed from face to face into online, almost 100%, right? So that's a good way to study.
So another question is about how you're gonna do with those who have internet problem. Will there be any more chances to retest?
Um, since I'm kind of cruel, because I told them earlier, we asked them to sign the consent form, said that if there's something wrong with your internet signal, we are not responsible for that. So I said, if it's because of their signal, they cannot retake the test. Well, they can retake, but they have to pay, not for free. That's why I treat them, and there's no problem with that. Because if I tell them earlier in my orientation, right, I kind of emphasize that please make sure that your internet is good wherever you are. Make sure the internet is good. Because if something happened, we are not responsible for that. So they have to find the best spot for them at the test date at that time. Or Kun Thosapon, do you mean that during the test? If it's during the test, if their signal get bad, they can re-enter the test if they still have time. If in the 2 hours or 3 hours of the test. They can re-enter the room or log in to the test and do the test. But actually the KQ exam will save your answers for you. So if you lost the signal, you re-enter, you will still have the responses, the earlier responses there in your account. Any other comments or questions? Do you do similar things like this at your university?
At Little, we are planning to do this similar thing as well, but it's on process. Because we are aware that there will be lots and lots of technical problems ahead as well.
Yes. Yes.
So we are trying to move our TU-GET on cloud. And we also facing lots and lots of challenges as well.
I totally understand you.
But thank you very much. We learned a lot from you as well, and well, we both are, and I'm sure other university as well, gonna walk through this rough path together, and we can learn from each other along the way. Because I'm sure the pandemic will be with us for quite a while. So we get through this together.
Well, you need to be confident to make a change. Even though you're not confident, you have to be confident.
Yeah, but sometimes without our confidence, we have to do it anyway, because
right, there's no
everything,
choice.
There's no choice. We live with no choice. So with the disruptions, we have to do it, whether we are 100% ready or not.
Yes.
Right? It's a learning curve.
Yes. It's more like research and development, or the action research, I could say, because you have tried
and errors and another
and you've
trial.
Learned, and you try another time, you learn, and third time you learn. And it's not stopped yet. It's not finished yet. It's an ongoing improvement or development. So
don't forget to complete your evaluation. I'm sure it won't take a lot of time. And I will share with you guys in the meantime while you are thinking of questions or concerns for next episode. That will be Professor Dr. Busaba with us. She will talk with us in the morning of Saturday, in the afternoon of Saturday, the 7th of August, on what happened when online. So still we are with the online trend. So if you are interested, feel free to join us. Here's our link and QR code. You can capture the screen and share with your friends, or you can keep posted on our Facebook, Little Language Institute, Thammasat University. You see these posts and you can share, feel free to share and join us anytime. So do we have more questions?
I think Mo Burapha has experience. I saw the director of Language Institute here, Ajahn Suparitai. Would you like to share your experience?
Yeah, I've seen Ajahn Suparitai and Ajahn Thosapon.
Ajahn Thosapon. Would you like to share a little bit of your experience of
Burapha University? Because we heard you were doing similar things, right?
Thank you to mention us. Okay, we have just okay, our director is here. Do you want to share?
Let me ask you the first question. Were you excited on that day?
I mean, I've been in and out in this meeting room for a while. So you mean for the online one for international students, right? It's kind of difficult because most of them cannot speak English. That's a big problem. It's not just technical problem, but the problem about kind of international student, we need to like try out how how can we like go through all the firewall things sort of block from the country that they are in, and to make sure that they're ready. I mean, they are like Thai taste takers. Some of them are very good, but many of them are not very familiar with online tasting or doing things like this. So that's the biggest things that we concern.
Yeah. So we also have Chinese students as well, and they cannot speak English. So what should I do? Is I hire in Chinese major students to help us.
Right. And
Yeah.
there's some like there's a case, even like there are two translators. I mean, some of us can speak English, and there are two translators at a time for the Chinese students. But the problem is about something that they cannot overcome from their side. Even we can check their, I mean, signal, or I mean, there are many things to concern for the student from the countries that is difficult to like to communicate with other people abroad. I mean, but it's a good experience at time.
Yeah. Welcome to the real world.
We really want to help them. I mean, I tried a lot with my friends there to make sure that they can do that, but then then that's okay. We just try to help them retake the taste.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean,
yes.
it was their first time, so some of them who really need help, so we allow them to retake the taste without like, it means that without charge. I mean, for the second time only, but for some of them who really need help, I mean, there's one person who really need help indeed, and I believe there's more and more. I think the most important thing for us is to be understand, how should we say, to be patient, to be like empathetic. I mean, to understand that they really need us. That's what we are thinking when we help them. And just we've been with the online testing for a while for students at universities, and so we just learn from them that how to use the online testing with the international student. Sorry for the loud noise from my kids.
You have TAs at home, right?
So thank you very much for the sharing. Any more questions, or it can be like comments or sharing of experience? Oh, we got another questions. It's about the changing of taste taker behavior. So whether they change, if they change when they doing the writing and speaking tests online, would they speak less or would they write less than they usually are?
From my observation, they write more.
They write more. And how about speaking?
Oh, we don't have speaking test.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for Wuerpai University, you got speaking tests, right?
For the online one that we just deliver, we didn't deliver the speaking one. That one is a receptive taste, reading mainly, and kind of writing, but indirect tasting is not direct taste like this, like what KKU did.
What types of comments or suggestions you have students given you if they were responsible for the course assessment? What is the question again? What types of comments or suggestions have students given you if they were responsible for the course assessment?
Assessment.
I cannot think about the answer right now. Khun Robbie, what do you mean by, can you elaborate on your question, please? You can switch on your mic and then you can talk.
Do you mean any suggestion from students? Alternative approaches?
Right now, no. Right now, no. But I don't know because the situation is quite limited, right? So we have to do everything that we can to overcome the situation of language testing during the COVID-19. I haven't anticipated any other approach or options to deliver the test yet. But my wish is after we finish after the COVID-19 ends, I don't want to do the online. I just want to do the computer-based test in the testing center. That would be the most secure in terms of test developer, the test center, and also the test takers to both sides.
Seems like we don't have further questions. Okay, so I think we have to say goodbye to everyone for this morning, right? Thank you very much for your time, and especially อาจารย์กรวิภาขอบคุณมากค่ะ Thank you very much for your transparency. You share everything like errors and success, and
Yes.
I've appreciate a lot. I learn a lot from you, and I'm sure that all of us here learn a lot as well. So thank you very much for your time with us this morning, and thank you the audience as well. And we are looking forward to see you guys again in our next webinar. And don't forget to keep in touch and stay tuned. Visit our Facebook pages, and there will always be information sharing, and we'll keep you updated. And we'll see you next time. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you very much,
And
everyone.
enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks. Bye.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ